Hey, I'm Chloé Caroline.
And I'm Shawna Patruno.
And welcome to Unwritten, an unedited podcast made for your story.
To be heard, to be shared, to be written.
Hi, I'm Chloé Caroline.
And I'm Shawna Patruno.
And welcome to the next, topic of our next series. We're talking about kind of the benefits of partnership and teamwork and diving in a little deeper to how that can help us to go after our dreams and to try new things and go outside our comfort zones. And I think it's a really important topic, connection in today's world.
Absolutely. I think a lot of people get stuck in trying to beat out somebody else and they one up someone. And I think you lose so much when you see everybody else as a threat, right?
Oh my gosh, yeah.
And I think by having collaboration, you're not having to bear the weight of everything. Also, it allows each other to shine in different ways and bring out the best of each person where they do shine.
Right.
So, and that's kind of how this podcast was kind of born.
It 100% is. And I want to get into that in just a second, but really, really quick to piggyback off what you just said, like it's such a lack mentality to think that this person is potentially taking my place, right? Or
100%.
the whole, I get how, especially in the music industry, it's super competitive. Yeah, there are only a certain amount of spots, but it doesn't necessarily mean that there's not a place for your music, because at the end of the day, it's like I'm in competition with myself, and if I'm really doing it for the right reasons, it's about the music, it's about the art, it's about letting that shine.
Yeah.
And if it's real, like it's gonna find a home. And I'm not gonna be needing to compete with Halsey, even though technically I am. It's like it's looking at its perspective,
Yeah.
Yeah, our podcast was born through that partnership. I was on your podcast.
Yeah, you were.
Yeah, I mean, you had the experience as far as, being a host of a podcast, editing podcasts. I, was on the other end and I'd been interviewed, quite a few times at that point when we met, but it's something that I'd wanted to do. And I remember just thinking it would be so cool to be able to, have a podcast that I actually felt like was on brand with what I was doing as a person. And I hate that word brand, but it's true. That tied to what I believed in. And,
100%.
I wanted somebody that also kind of felt the same way and would be able to bring their own talents to the table and their own perspective. And you've done that.
Oh, thank you. Well, it's funny because how I actually got my podcast was a collaboration with my sister for a radio show originally.
Ooh.
I had no experience. I hated talking and I did it on a whim. And then afterwards, she got busy with other things and I just started interviewing for the radio show. And then I had a friend say well, you should have your own. And then she kind of helped me. So it's just, those were collaborations that kept spinning off into other things. Right. And without those experiences, none of this would exist. Right.
Yeah, no, it's true. And again, like people bringing you out of your comfort zone is really important. Other people do that, and they mirror you, or they inspire you, and they encourage you to bring, to showcase their talents in different ways, and you balance each other out, and you also hold each other accountable when you're working together. Because if I'm doing this podcast by myself and, don't have motivation one day, it's a lot harder for me or it's a lot easier without you to be like, oh yeah, let's just move it to another day. Where it's like, if you're in this with me, I'm like, no, Shawna's also doing this. She's taking time out of her day. Let's get this done.
For sure.
It's a lot easier to motivate each other. And I think that's cool, and come up with different ideas and dive into both of our networks. And I think it's really cool that you started podcasting in general because of collaboration.
Yeah, well, it's funny. I kind of manifested it about 3 years prior. I was talking to one of my friends and I kept saying, like, we need to have this exact idea that we collaborated on. Like, I
Hmm.
just want to have it with somebody where we interview people and we let businesses shine and literally
Hmm.
like everything that we're kind of doing and let people
Yeah.
tell their stories. And I asked like 4 people and like, do you want to do it? And then I was
Yeah.
like, no one's going to do this with me.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
you asked me and I was like, whoa,
Look
okay.
at that.
Would you look at that?
Would you look at that? Yeah, it's funny. Like I was having a conversation yesterday with a female artist that I think we're gonna play a show together. We'd never met in person, but I'd met her manager, and she reached out to me and was like, "I think we'd be a good fit, but also I'm playing this show. Do you want to play?" And I was like, "Sure." And so we got on the phone and we were talking, and it's like now we're gonna come up with some ideas to promote the show together and maybe write a song and who knows, like perform it live. I don't know, but like she's, could be my direct competition in a way, but she's not. It's like in this day and age, it's like you can either sit there and like let somebody else like completely discourage you or be like, "Oh my gosh, like, she's doing great things or she has more followers or I should be just promoting my show because why would I promote her show, and have that mindset. Or you could be like, let's tag team this and get as many people out as we can and let's support each other,
Yeah,
especially as female artists.
I love that.
Yeah.
So that also, when are you guys doing the official collaboration?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure the show, I mean, knock on wood, nothing changes. I just found out about it, but it should be April 18th. And I'd be playing, if it all works out, I'd be playing the Troubadour, which is a big venue here in LA. That's pretty known, and I actually manifested that too. That's that was one of the post-its that was like on my bathroom mirror that I wanted to play the Troubadour. So
That's so cool.
there you go. You never know, but yeah, I think it's really important. And there's, we were talking, and there's definitely connections and insights she has that maybe I don't, and vice versa. And then we relate on certain topics as far as how difficult social media can be. And it's just
Yeah.
that's the beauty of connection, and choosing to see it through a lens of teamwork.
So what would you say to somebody who's like is maybe has trust issues or
Yeah.
fear of collaboration or like
Mhm.
maybe insecure?
Yeah. I think I would say, well, okay. I think it all starts with yourself, and really kind of analyzing, well, why do I feel this way?
Yeah.
Like what is triggering me to feel, not, I guess maybe not good enough in this particular, around this person or in a collaboration sort of scenario. Why don't I feel like I can contribute something, or why do I feel like this person's going to overshadow me, and kind of like getting to the root of that, I think is probably like the most important thing, because it should be fun, at the end of the day it should be fun. So like if you can figure out like why you're doing what you're doing, or I'm trying to think of an example where it wouldn't be work related, but you know it's if you can figure that out and you're doing it for the right reasons, which it should always begin with, passion and love and creativity, I believe, then there really should be no issues. I guess really looking at, do these people align with what I'm doing? And if they don't, or if they are making you feel insecure because of something that they're saying, like maybe they're putting you down, or, that's a whole other situation.
For sure.
Yeah. Yeah. What
I
about
love
you? What would you say? I'm going to ask you the same question.
Oh my gosh. I would probably echo back what you said. I
Hmm.
would ask myself like internally, like, why am I feeling this way?
Hmm.
And then I would practice like obviously like affirmation, self-love, like why am I in a limited mindset, like
Hmm.
really take it back to yourself because really like I think you mentioned it before, like everyone's a mirror of you,
Yeah.
and your belief system. So I would
Hmm.
probably really like we're very aligned. I would say the same thing.
Yeah, yeah. No, it's so true. And also just remembering like we all have different strengths and different weaknesses. And I think that, I'll go into a session and sometimes like there's far better keyboard players or guitar players in the room, or producers that literally are the engineers that have this like super logical technical brain that isn't necessarily something that I have, yet I will come up with a really cool maybe melodic idea or sound idea that I have in my head, and they'll be able to actually execute that, but I can like share this idea that maybe they wouldn't have come up with, and realizing that we all have different things to bring to the table. And also, sometimes one idea can spark a different idea just because you mentioned it, and I might say something and it might inspire you to say something that leads to somewhere else. So it never hurts to say something, even if you think it's going to be stupid in a partnership scenario,
For sure. So what would you say to somebody who's okay, they're like, now they've decided they're going to start a partnership or a
Mm-hmm.
collaboration, say they're going to, I don't know what they're going to start. Maybe they're
Mm-hmm.
starting a podcast or whatnot.
Yeah.
What would you say when you have hiccups
Yeah.
with the collaboration
Ooh.
or thing doesn't go exactly right? Like, what would you say?
Mhm. I would say, well, again, if you can try to get on the same page with the person, because again, you're a team. So sitting down together and figuring out like, okay, like I guess it depends on the particular scenario, if it was an issue between both parties, or if it was just like, oh, this didn't work out for whatever reason, like I don't know, we got stood up, or we didn't sell as much as we thought we were going to, or we don't have the money, or you know what I mean? Like, and then
Yeah.
deciding to like how are we gonna tag team the problem together? Let's brainstorm some different ideas here, some different options, and you have your first option, which is the dream scenario, and then you have like two other ones.
For sure.
Yeah, I would say kind of like looking at it like that.
Through that kind of a lens, for sure.
Yeah, yeah, and also communication. If it's an issue between two people, between you and your teammate or partner or whatever, um, you know, how looking at like just communication styles, and
Yeah.
how do you like to be communicated with, and vice versa, and what do you need out of this and what do they need, and again, analyzing your strengths, weaknesses, and being able to really be honest with that person, because if you can't be honest with the person that you're working with, it's never going to work.
Yeah. So find somebody first that you can be honest with. Number
Yeah.
one, and then be open communication. And when things happen that are kind of like a hiccup, don't automatically throw in the towel, because like
Yeah. Yeah.
that's like life all the time in relationships and whatever. Like life's not perfect. I was having a conversation with one of my friends today, and she had said something, and I said, if everybody just threw in the towel when things got heavy, like nothing would exist in this playing field. We all
Hmm.
have struggles, so we have to move through them fluidly and
Yeah.
like not give up.
Yeah. Yeah. 100%. I completely agree with that. And yeah, I guess you never know, where an idea could take you, and it might lead to something else, might not be the first idea that you and and somebody dream up together. It might lead you guys to a different place entirely, but unless you go for it, you really won't know. And trusting that like wherever that maybe that thing that you're seeing as a failure at first, isn't really a failure.
Yeah.
Allowing it to take you wherever it's supposed to take you, I guess.
Yeah, it's a stepping stone to the next thing. So
Hmm. Exactly. And I don't know, it's just it's fun to be able to brainstorm with somebody, and to be able to have somebody to go through those like difficult challenges with. It's a lot easier with a teammate or a team, more than one person on the other side, to be able to do that, and sometimes, you know it's I don't know. I would say sometimes it's even like having multiple teams of people around you
For
that
sure.
yeah, and realizing that, it's okay that I can't do everything by myself. I think for me, that's always been like a big thing, is like, I think that I can do everything alone.
Yes, I feel that that's my struggle as well. And I
Yeah.
cannot.
Yeah. And it's like, it's okay. It's okay. Relax. You can ask for help. But I know for me personally, even if it's just, we're talking about specific like relationships, if I'm struggling with something, sometimes I need to just like process it by myself at first, and then when I'm ready and I kind of have a better idea about what I'm feeling, then I feel like I can express it to somebody.
I love that.
Yeah, it's just, yeah, figuring out like what works for you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, anything else you want to share?
On the topic of
Mm-hmm.
collaboration, I don't know. I think the most beautiful things come from collaboration, love. I used to think all this stuff was cheesy. Like I was like fearful of all of it, collaboration
Yeah.
of all of these things.
Mm-hmm.
But I think the most beautiful thing in life is to have partnership
Oh
and
yeah.
not be like solo in certain situations. I
Mm-hmm.
think that's when honestly, like you're kind of united. I think it creates such diversity and you can experience different things because you're just with yourself doing it. You already know what you can bring to the table.
Mm-hmm.
There's no surprise, essentially.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
For sure. What about yourself, Chloe? Is there anything else that you would say on the
Um,
subject matter?
I would just say don't be afraid to just reach out, and I think a lot of people don't want to get rejected too,
Yes.
in a scenario, or they're like kind of like, oh, I don't know, like, are we sure? But you don't know where it's going to lead, or you don't know who you're going to meet through that other person. I did a music video for my song Gemini, and it was so random. Like, I literally had been on a hike, and I was kind of like in my, I was manifesting on this hike, being like, you know asking the universe, can you please bring in like soul connections that are aligned with me, so I can create and shine, blah blah blah. And I was on a hike, and then I was headed to a coffee shop to meet my producer as we were working that day, and met with him. And then as I was walking back to my car, this guy almost hits me with his car.
Oh my gosh.
Luckily, he didn't. I'm like, it's all good, man, whatever. I get in my car, he flips around, and normally it would freak me out that this happened. But one, it was like broad daylight in a busy area, but two, he had like a baby in the back seat. That made me feel safer. But he rolls down his window and he gives me this card, and he's like, hey, this is super random, but like, are you an actress or a model? Again, normally maybe I'd be weirded out, but I could tell he was like kind of nervous. And I was like, yeah. And also, like, bear in mind, like I just said, like, I had been on a hike. I was like sweaty. I did not look good. Okay. Like, it was not my best day physically. So I was like, okay, weird, but whatever. And I was like, yeah, I actually am. I'm an actress and a singer songwriter as well. And he's like, I know this sounds crazy, but I just had this weird feeling that I needed to give you my card. He's like, I literally just like quit my job at this production company, and I'm a videographer, and I really just want to make videos and take pictures that I actually believe in, like art that I believe in. Like, if you want to work at all, like, let me know, check out my Instagram. And he gave me like his card. And literally, like, I had been needing to get like this video done ASAP and start releasing this music. And I get home, I look on Instagram and I look at his stuff, and I was like, you know what, like, this could be a total flop, but like maybe not. So let's just like reach out and be like, hey, are you down to meet for coffee? And we did. We met for coffee, and he ended up doing my video. Like,
That's so cool.
and it was just like right after I'd been like asking the universe for that too. And yeah, it was so fun, and so many of my collaborations have come through just random things like that, or just asking somebody to go to coffee, or sliding into a DM, like, you just
That's
don't
so
know.
funny. That's how I got my best friend.
Yeah.
One of my best friends. Randomly. I was like new to Toronto, and I like
Yeah.
sat at her table. I'm like, I know no one. Do you want to be my friend?
That's amazing. I've done the same thing. I've been at a party and like seen like a girl and been like girl crushing, just being like, and one time I like walked up and I was like, hey, you're really pretty. Do you want to be friends? You
It
just gotta
works.
do it. It does. It does. People are just like, huh? Like, all right, sure.
Yeah, I think so many people just are not used to doing that. But when you
Yeah.
get out of your own way, like there's beautiful things on the other side of fear. So
And then realizing like if it doesn't go technically how you planned, like okay, it's not your loss. Like it's just and no harm, no foul. You know, it's like okay, on to the next person. There's a million people in the world that would. You know, why would you want to be friends with someone who doesn't want to be friends with you?
exactly. And even if it doesn't, like you're no better, like it's not a loss
Yeah.
because, well, you didn't know this person before. So,
Yeah. Exactly.
so
Exactly. So
you're,
you might as well.
you might as well. You're not going to lose anything.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I'm excited about this series and
Yeah.
I'm excited about what's next.
Our next guest. And
Yeah.
if you guys would like to be on the show, you can follow our Instagram at Unwritten or contact us to nominate yourself to be on the show.
Yep.
Because I think this is going to be a really fun topic.
Yes, definitely. All right. Well, we will catch you guys later.
Perfect.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you so much for being part of Unwritten. Our podcast is your podcast.
Do you want your story to be heard? Follow us on Instagram at unwritten.podcast and TikTok at unwritten podcast.